Alright, let's get into it. Okay, first things first. Fuck one for all. That's just simple shit right there. So, I'm gonna be explaining a few things that one for all said to me earlier today. And one of the things that I'm gonna start it off with is that I apparently rigged the Truge versus Shenron match for the YouTube Gamers title. I did not rig the match at all, one for all. In fact, Shenron won simply out of decision. If anything, that could have gone anyway. It's a CPU versus CPU, which means it's computer versus computer based. It's practically luck at that point. Shuj could have got a victory out of nowhere just as much as Shenron could have, and Shenron just was the pick out of the computers in the game. And there we go. Shenron's first ever two-time Gamers Champion. He is the new Gamers Champion. And if anything, I don't know why you're complaining about Truge getting a loss, saying that's his biggest loss. It's not his biggest loss. If anything, his biggest loss was towards me when I beat him in 2-0. If anything, he's had a big run. He's taken out all of JMC for that Gamers title. He's the first ever double champion, which goes down in history of the YouTube fighting thing that we have going on. And him versus Shenron went to decision in 5 rounds in a really good fight, which both men stumbled each other and got knocked down in that fight for a possible submissions knockout. But you're complaining that Truge lost. He fought like a warrior in that fight. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get submitted. He lasted to decision. And even if he lost, I don't see that as a win personally in my book, for personal reasons only. That's got to go down in history as probably one of the best fights ever. Alright, Shenron versus Truge. It probably isn't going to be the biggest fight that we have coming up, and it probably won't be the biggest fight in all of YouTube fighting history. But if we're talking about the biggest fights ever, you've got to talk about that one. Truge versus Shenron was a dope fight. It was so good to watch, just as much as any people could be watching, whether you're watching it live or just regular now. At this point, it was such a good fight. And I fought a legend in the making of mixed martial arts in Bruce Lee, which I beat, which surprisingly I didn't even want to beat. I wanted to lose that fight because it's Bruce Lee. I was just happy to be in a match with someone at such a high rank. I didn't even expect to win. But that's the first topic of what One for All keeps bitching about. Number 2 on One for All's topics is simply the commands of King. I call myself the King for many reasons. I've been calling myself the King for many years, One for All. Before you were even a YouTube channel or even thought of, I was calling myself King. I've earned the name King. I've dropped so many people, sure, I've taken L's, but none of those L's have ever been to the point of dethroning me. I keep getting back up from ash and dust, and I start a spark. I win, I make a fire, and then I create a whole wildfire, which starts a whole forest fire, which is the biggest thing that you could ever get out of a flame. Alright? There's a reason why I'm still called the King. It's because I get up and I keep reigning and winning. If I keep winning, I'm reigning. If I'm reigning, I'm a king. And that's what I am. That's what I've been doing. You know nothing about me being the king because you haven't done anything successful. You're literally an advocate to probably what KH Brony was. Now, do I care that KH Brony comes back at random? No. I'll just deal with him the same as what I'm going to do with you. Now, here's the third thing that I'm going to talk about. The face-off. I called him out. He was quiet, and then just randomly out of this, after Truge finally loses, after such a big streak of winning, he pops up out of nowhere and wants to start talking a lot of shit. Here's what I gotta say to that. Practically, and what it just is he sucks Truge's dick. And Truge has no part of it whatsoever. If anything, he's still happy. He's still a champion. He's still a YouTube minus champion. I just guess One for All was too dumb enough to not even notice that. If anything, it's just stupid. Because now One for All has got himself wrapped up in something that he can't really deny at this point, because if he does, it's just pretty much confirmed. Everyone wants the fight to happen. I've already made a date. I've announced it on Twitter. If One for All makes a video and addresses this, then it can go on. It depends on what his answer is. I'm done talking in the comments. Make a video. That's how we're going to settle this. I'm making a video right now. The date is set for Friday for our face-off. One for All, answer the call, or shh. And I promise you, if you answer that call, I'm dropping you in round one. Dead silent. Night night.